Hello, nerds, and welcome. We are Crossing the Nerdverse, bringing you yet another episode. My name is Travis. I am joined, as always, by my fantastic co-hosts Clark and Ryan. Oh, Eric's here too. Just kidding. He's also one of our fantastic co-hosts. But this is the May. We are going to be talking about all things Star Wars this month. Starting off, I think we're going to cover new releases, like watch order for material that's already out, or suggested watch order, I should say, for material already out. And I'm sure there's going to be some differing opinions. And then lastly, I'll just go ahead and give my hot Star Wars take, and that's Jar Jar Binks was the evil Sith Lord and the mastermind of the entire plot for 9 movies.
I'm kind of with you on that one.
Just kidding. I hate the Darth Jar Jar theory. It's so dumb. But anyway, as always,
is it dumb because it's flawless?
It's dumb because it's not true. Like, there's no way it's real.
Well, here's my thing. I would be more up in arms about it, and I would be more like roar about the Darth Jar Jar theory, except for the fact that it gave me Christopher Lee's Count Dooku as a shoehorned-in character that was way cooler. So, calling it a win.
Christopher Lee was just a dope actor. Period.
So the last beheading in France, wasn't it, or England?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he also had to tell Peter Jackson that that's not what people do when they're stabbed. I'm like, bruh.
He's like, when I was in the war,
like,
this is how they sound.
Like, when we stabbed people in the war, this is the sound they made. I'm like, what the? He had a death metal band, like,
yeah,
70,
Charlemagne.
Like, yeah, it was wild.
Probably the coolest guy ever.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I'm actually really excited about this one. It's finally May, Star Wars month. Super stoked.
It's gonna be May.
I was waiting. I didn't want to be the first person to make that joke, if I'm perfectly honest.
I keep seeing those, like, what's that one word you mispronounced that one time in your life meme, and it's always Justin Timberlake, and he's just like, me.
He's like, me, yeah. I don't know why that's haunted. It's literally made him an icon for decades during this month.
Yeah, but a meme
I love
icon.
how
Nobody really
I
wants
was like,
that.
how is
Who
that
cares?
what drove him to fame?
Fame is
His
fame.
May meme not being an NSYNC. It's fine. Or his solo career, or Trolls, for that matter.
Wait, he was in Trolls?
Yeah, as one of the two.
I'm going to pretend like you're joking.
I haven't seen the movie Trolls, so
Any of the 3, I think, or 4 almost.
It's 3.
They're all very good. I will give them credit. They are very adorable. I know that's what you all came here for today.
I watched the newer Smurf movie.
Take on Trolls. No, Trolls is better.
Trolls is better.
Have you seen Sing?
Let's just talk about. Oh, I love Sing.
Okay, you'll like
talk
Trolls.
about Trolls.
Okay. Yeah, let's just talk about Trolls instead of Star Wars.
It's Star Wars month, Trolls.
Yeah.
Talk about the Facebook movie. We want to talk about the Facebook
movie. We have so much stuff to say about that. That's a Game Grumps reference for those of you that don't know. You guys should definitely go check them out because they are
shout out to Game Grumps.
So
Star Wars. I do like the idea of opening up with some of our upcoming stuff because I know a lot of us, myself included, are going to be jumping on some of the new content come Star Wars Day.
Hold on, I have to text my mom so she can join us live on the YouTubes.
I understand.
Oh.
So, quick question before we get going. Do y'all actually do anything for Star Wars Day? Like, do you ever make a deal out of it?
Well, we're going to be playing trivia together for Star Wars Day.
That's true. Yeah.
And most of the time, I usually just enjoy my weekend. Sometimes I'll play a Star Wars game just for old time's sake, but most of the time, no, not really.
Oh, so I'm the weirdo, huh? All right, cool.
I mean, I have one tradition, and it's very dumb, but I will not stop doing it. Whenever I wake up on May 4th, I will just go and wake up my poor husband at whatever hour I've decided is wake up time. And then that's Star Wars Day. And then it's like Christmas.
It's just
like
you wear Christmas. Yeah, Elena puts on her like Chewbacca bathrobe and then screams at me at 4 a.m. and then it's unrelated though. It's usually because she's mad at me. Like it has nothing to do with Star Wars.
She doesn't even know it's Star Wars Day. No.
Yeah, she's. No, my wife's also a big.
So me and my family always jumped on some of the stranger holidays, right? And so we always do stuff for like Pi Day on March 14th. We do stuff for Star Wars Day, and we just kind of have a lot of fun with it. So I was curious to see if anybody else ever went big for Star Wars Day.
I might watch Star Wars.
A movie, maybe.
Yeah.
I share memes.
I definitely share memes.
I do the May the 4th be with you May the 4th be with you. Prepare for Revenge of the 5th, something like that.
Yeah, Revenge of the 5th.
We're all just one giant meme culture at this point.
Honestly, it's 90% of how I communicate to people. You know I don't like you if I text you words.
Idiocracy's coming true.
Doesn't like me.
Yeah, only words for you. Actually, I only call you, so no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we speak like face to face, and you tell me all the terrible things like in person, which is great. It's great. It's good to have that
Because then there's
that
no record of
interaction.
them.
Yeah.
Except for my Alexa
Okay.
collecting every Star Wars. I'm like brain dead tonight. I will apologize in advance. I had 5.5 hours of meetings today at work, so I'm not.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not. Don't
All right,
do
so
drugs,
let's go ahead.
kids.
We'll get started on upcoming releases. We got a lot of cool stuff coming out for Star Wars. TV shows, even including a movie, a couple of video games. Eric, what do we got on the video game front? Let's open up on the consoles.
Star Wars Outlaws that everybody wants.
Boo, Star Wars Outlaws, boo.
Not a fan, huh?
No, I'm mad that they're already locking missions behind a paywall. Like, if the mission is ready to go in the game, yeah.
I don't know what
you have
you
to buy the
expected.
season's pass. You have to buy the season pass to get access to this mission that we've already programmed into the game. Like, no, dude, I'm paying you $70. I should get the whole goddamn game. Yeah, like pretty soon it's going to be like games is like a feature, and like you just pick your options. Would you like access to different controller layouts? You have to pay extra. To get this controller layout, you have to buy this other package.
I think the Microsoft executive came out and was talking about adding the ability to tip at the end of the game, like the end of games. Like you could tip the dev team, and I was like, "You all say tip."
This coming from a financial expert, for the record, all viewers.
I mean, I would love all of your money so that I can make more cool games, but like at a certain.
No, I'm with you on that one. I've taken on a stance that's almost just irrationally adversarial when it comes to microtransactions. Even the ones that kind of make sense, that are like the normal now, it just makes me balk and grind my teeth and crunch. It's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, their announcement that they were like, well, if you buy the season pass, you get access to this mission. And I'm like, the game's just dropping. What season? Like, it's a single player game. Why is there seasons? It's not like there's a tiered grind system like there is in Destiny, where like seasonal events make sense because you get gear in different drops. Like, this is bananas.
And here's the other side of it is the downfall of a lot of new video games has always been a lack of opening content, right? It's been the Achilles heel for a lot of games that tried to set themselves up as a kind of forever project. And so to intentionally reduce the amount of content you have in your game seems like a death knell to me.
The games are only doing this because people are paying it, so I mean, we should probably move on though, because we've talked about it a lot, like in regards to
I
like,
have
money
a lot
and
of
games
very
and things,
hard opinions about all of these coming from somebody who finances and makes games.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like,
let us rip.
The biggest thing is it's just
not
always
about
that we
Star Wars Day, though. To Eric's point, look at him being the good little shepherd for all of us stray livestock, which I've now forgotten all the names.
I 100% agree. I hate paywall things. I think they're crazy. The only one I enjoy is if I pay a little bit more, I can get a game early. I think that's cool.
Early access kind of thing.
Yeah, I do disagree with putting missions behind paywalls when the game first comes out. If you do it later on, that's cool, but like not in the beginning. Star Wars Eclipse is supposed to be coming out. Made by Quantic Dream. It doesn't give a date anymore. They used to have like a date to it, but
nobody will give you a date anymore.
Yeah. They're the ones that make all the games that are stories more than games.
Huh.
Okay, kind of like the visual novel kind of thing.
Kind of like Heavy Rain, Detroit, Become Human, stuff like that. Knights of the Old Republic supposedly still getting remade. I've heard like 8 different times that they weren't, and then they were, and then they weren't, and then they were.
I feel like that one's just going to be stuck in limbo until we get a Skull and Bones like release. It's just like, all right, it's finally done. We think, sort of.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think they've changed studios and stuff, so I don't even know anymore what's going on with it. Those are the big ones that are coming out for Star Wars, like game wise.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of other ones hinted, like a bounty hunter game and all these other things that I just haven't heard anything about lately.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of them are kind of getting pulled behind the curtain.
I think a lot of them got canceled because, like, I know like the Dave Filoni movie and the Rain Johnson movies all got canceled, and I was sad to hear when they announced that the Dave Filoni one was like being canceled. I was like, oh man, come on. He's done so many like great things. I feel like he would just ace like a standalone Star Wars movie. But
I absolutely agree. Well, on the TV front, we do have some exciting news because May the 4th is still lined up to be the release date for the second book of Tales of the Jedi, which I know I'm excited about. The first one was an excellent ride. I enjoyed it quite a bit. This next follow-up is not a season 2. They've been very, very clear about that. Where the follow-up to Tales of the Jedi is not a season 2, and instead is going to focus on the two journeys of Ferris Offee, voiced by Meredith Salinger, which is sweet action, and Morgan Elspeth, which is voiced by Diana Lee Inosanto. And it's kind of a post-Rise of the Empire, what happened to the ones that sided with them kind of story from what I understand. And all 6 episodes are going to be available on Star Wars Day, come Saturday. So I know that's something I'm going to be doing. Very, very excited about that one.
I do like when streaming services just dump the whole like run on you for episodes. So you can choose whether or not you're going to be a couch potato and binge the whole thing.
Well, and that's been kind of a hot topic between me and some of my friends, is the episodic release versus just the full dump. And it was actually Fallout that started it, because I was personally super excited that Fallout just came out as a block, just boom.
Yeah.
Because I was the irresponsible couch potato and watched the entire thing in one go. Whereas my wife has just finished up Fallout, and she just kind of ate it one episode at a time, 1 episode a week, 2 episodes a week kind of thing, at her own pace. And so,
like a decent person.
Yeah, like some kind of like human. It's odd. Anyway,
with self-control and.
And so, yeah, I think that really should be the new norm, is that they just release the block. I'd even be okay with waiting a little bit longer for release dates, so that could be a thing.
Yeah, let me sit down on a Saturday and spend the entire day.
Yeah.
No, because then I have nothing to watch until next season of something, and I'm just sat there watching the 47 seasons of Chop.
You could start One Piece over again. That'll tide you over until another release.
That's
for sure.
Fair enough. I'm
until
almost caught up on
One
Piece. And it's going to end this year, so
side tangent, where are you at? Because I think I just started the...
I'm right before we get into the eggshell arc, or whatever this most recent arc is. Egghead, there we go, thank you.
I just started Dressrosa.
Oh, I fucking hate Dressrosa. Good luck.
Oh, was it? Okay,
good arc. They just show you the same I think somebody actually did it. They calculated it. They show you the same flashback almost 48 times.
Oh, God.
Holy crap.
Ew.
Yeah. We're like, we get it, she's dead.
If we're seeing the same flashback 48 times, how come animators were complaining about not spending any time with their families?
That's on Mappa. That's not the One Piece guys.
I'm kidding. It's just a joke. Animators should get to go home and spend time with family.
That's why JJK got.
But yeah,
we're doing so good at Star Wars today.
Yeah, we're really sticking with the Star Wars.
We're doing
super
ADD.
We're getting some side tangents going. I mean,
it's relevant topics. It'll be fine. Besides, anybody that watches us at this point, it's not because of our pinpoint accuracy or topic fortitude.
Personalities.
Yeah, it's for the sweet personalities. Now,
it's definitely for mine.
Make sure you clip plenty of times Clark talks.
Yeah,
so we can keep her adoring fans on TikTok.
So for those of you that are not super excited about the animated content for Star Wars, you do have good news. On June the 4th, The Acolyte is coming out, which I've seen the trailers and stuff for. It looks absolutely fantastic. Leslie Headland is overseeing the entire project. She's best known for Russian Doll, which was a pretty successful TV show. And it's set in the High Republic era, 200 years before the events of the prequels. And so for those of you that read the High Republic comics, this one's for you. It's all set in the right era, and I'm very, very, very excited about this one. Probably more so than Tales of the Jedi, but I'm going to be watching them both, so I don't have to decide. Clark?
Is there like a, you know how Marvel has like that timeline, like the canon timeline of when things happen? Is there something like that
Yeah.
for Star Wars? Because it used to
Yes.
be super easy for me to like remember, but now they're like, all right, well, this one was 200 years before that, but also simultaneously we're streaming this, and that guy's in present day, and this guy over here is a shoot off of that guy. And I'm just like, I enjoy these. I have no idea canonically what timeline you were all doing things in. And then my husband's like, oh yeah, no, this makes sense because the guy 4 shows ago. And I'm just like, this speeder looks great.
If you
All
The
about the Vespa
animators
boys.
really took their time on this flight scene.
Yeah. I'm like, wow.
websites do it, books do it, all the books definitely do it. They put everything like in the very beginning of it. Yeah, if you look at your books, very beginning of them, they put like timelines usually.
Well, and truth be told, the Star Wars timeline, and we'll cover it a little bit more when we get into watching order, right? But the Star Wars timeline
I thought he was lying. I just skip
No,
all
yeah,
this
that's
front
100%.
shit.
No, I'm like an Uber nerd when it comes
And
to
I
Star Wars.
And I catch
I just
bullshit
skip
for
this
not
front
knowing that
shit. I'm
WoW
like,
had a story, and she doesn't even know that there's a breakdown of like
I have,
timeline
like-
canon. In her
yeah, I only
30
have
Star
like
Wars
30 of these books. To be
And
fair,
most
I
of those
skipped.
aren't canon anymore.
No, thank
Doesn't matter.
Legends. It is Legends, but yeah, not canon anymore. Still good books.
They're really like honestly the Yuzan Vong arc for. I mean, this is on topic, but the Yuzan Vong arc from the Star Wars Legends is probably my favorite Star Wars book series, like by far. It's between that and the
That still doesn't help me with the movies.
the early Han
Yeah,
when
Solo
we're-
books were also very good. Like
Han Solo was really good, yeah.
I have
I
to
like
admit
the way he
that
was written.
the way the Legends stuff was done, there was a couple things I didn't like about Legends, right? And I didn't like these back in the day. But as they went on, the content really kind of fought for itself and ended up being some of the most fantastic storylines out there, and I really loved them. Downsides, I'm going to list the Yuzhan Vong introduction was not the strongest introduction. It really felt almost like, all right, you beat the bad guy, now's the bad guy's evil intergalactic cousin, Phil. And that's kind
He
of what the
somehow
Yuzhan...
came back.
Yeah. That's
it's
what
like
the Yuzhan Vong
Supernatural.
kind of felt
yeah,
like.
but this is the devil's cousin, Franklin.
Yeah.
He's
I
way
think
more.
it was what. Yeah, I think it was one of those. It's like, you know, it's going to be a good idea. You just have to figure out how to get the good idea there. So you just kind of start, and maybe your start's not the best.
Yeah.
But
the
like, you're
start
like, all
was
right,
not
we
the
got
best, but
there.
the series as a
Yeah.
whole was definitely amazing. Like cool character concept
yeah.
for like an outside the galaxy species that isn't connected to the Force in any way, which is super dope. Which
Well,
also
and
led
I
to
do like
probably
the-
one of my favorite book scenes of all time when was it Anakin Solo? Was that his name?
Which one? Like there
Yeah.
was Anakin,
There was the twins. There was Jason and Jaina, right? And then their younger
Yeah.
brother, and I can't remember his
Yeah.
name. Was
Anakin.
that was Anakin,
Anakin.
Solo? Was
Yeah.
just like they were like
Anakin
how do you,
Junior Solo.
yeah, they were like, how do you detect the Yuzhan Vong through the Force? He was like, I just sense every single thing around them all the time, always. And they were like, you can do that? And he was like, you guys can't?
He
They
was
were
my
a
favorite
void.
overpowered MC character that they just
Yeah.
spoilers
He eventually,
killed
like,
off.
yeah, he dies
In
spectacularly.
a cool way, though.
Yeah, he dies.
Yeah.
So, like his death is super dope.
Well, and a lot of
But
the books focused heavily on like the Force sensitive legacies. That was another thing that at the time when they came out bugged me was like it was all about the like descendants of the main heroes, and of course Force is shown to be this like descendancy thing and yada yada yada. That part I didn't care for, but the way that the books portrayed them ended up being a great high adventure series. And I think they came back from what was in my opinion kind of a bad intro to being a fantastic series of books, and I devoured them. I liked them all.
One of my favorite character debuts from the book series for Legends was Dash Rendar.
yes.
Specific like, and then his debut was dope, and then him leading the like offshoot of like fighter pilots that were taking on the Yuzon Vong, and they thought he was doing some sort of like force-related war crime, because they were like, all of a sudden these Yuzon Vong ships just started exploding, and they were like, "What terrible dark side power did you discover, Dash Rendar?" And he was just like, "Huh? No, I took all the fuel cells out of the proton torpedoes and packed them with more explosives, and I just fling them out with the force." And they're like, "You hit him?" And he was like, "I'm more accurate."
He's like, "I got an engineering degree, bitches."
Yeah, like,
you want to talk about
take
cool
out
character.
all the rocket fuel, they get way more space for explosives.
Way bigger explosion. When it comes to cool character intros, though, and again, I'm going to encourage people to kind of go back to the comics. But one of my favorite characters that have been introduced in the comics that is not getting a lot of attention is Dr. Aphra. I don't know if y'all checked out the comic
I have
books.
no idea who that is.
Dr. Aphra is awesome. I might just send
Sounds
you the
like an
comics that I
allergy
have.
medication.
You should. It does.
So Dr. Aphra takes on a role in. It doesn't focus on like these overpowered force sensitive. Yeah. A lot of the comics don't really veer towards the traditional method of find super powerful force sensitive and have fun adventures. Dr. Aphra takes on a role that is not a hero's role. She's kind of a bad guy. She is assisted by a couple of droids that are modified torture droids that kind of come off as Darkseid C-3PO and R2-D2. And she's got a very like almost archaeologist vibe to her stories. It's almost as if Indiana Jones was a Darkseid Star Wars character, is what Dr. Aphra's stories are like. Highly recommend that.
I can get behind that. Also, I feel like regular R2-D2 was also like Darkseid
kind of a war criminal
the table for R2-D2. Yeah, I feel like maybe nothing was necessarily off the table when it came to discussions with R2-D2. He was just like, we could just commit war crimes. It'd be no, okay, I read the room wrong.
Well, and on the subject of war crimes, we do have season 2 of Andor. Oh, Bones in the audience? What's up, Bones?
On the subject
Speaking
of war crimes, we have.
But yeah, Andor season 2 slotted to come out either 2025 or late 2024. Still, again, no such thing as anybody giving us dates anymore.
Andor season 1 was amazing.
Absolutely loved it. And so I'm very much looking forward to season 2.
Half of Eric's face looks very excited.
What? What did I do?
There you go. You shifted over. I can only see like half of you on the screen.
Oh yeah, everybody's gonna have different screen sizes. But Andor wasn't bad. I mean, it was interesting. It was something new and different. In regards to the books, though, you mentioned they did a lot of Force stuff. If you got into like X-Wing, Rogue Squadron, that series, there wasn't a lot of Force stuff in there, and that was really good. Their characters were developed amazing. And they had a lot of people. I don't even know, they had very few force sensitive people. Like Jaina did join for a little while, but that's actually the brothers and sisters who I thought Ben and what's her name were in the original or in the last 3 movies when they couldn't figure out who her parents were. Rey, that's her name.
Rey.
I thought Rey and Ben were brother and sister because of Jaina and Jace. I thought they'd go that route.
I was waiting for like a Mara Jade like debut at some point in the.
Yeah, they really like.
In the sequel. I think they wanted to make something that wasn't related like to any of the books that were already out. I think that was the whole goal.
My favorite thing ever was when they said that there wasn't a bunch of lore to go off of. It's like, no, the 100-something books.
That statement still makes me laugh, like in comic series and video games.
Oh yeah. Well, and what's funny is I almost get to the point where anytime anybody says that, I say laughs in Dave Filoni, because that dude is trying to bring Legends back into canon so bad, and I'm here for it. I totally support him. And of course, we do need to touch on, and this one's been kind of bounced around. It still says 2024, but Jude Law starring in Skeleton Crew, which was a big
trailer out.
Yeah, there's a trailer out. There was major reports in like Vanity Fair and stuff. It comes from the director of Spider-Man No Way Home, John Watts, is doing Skeleton Crew. I'm still very excited about it. Trailers look really good. All the exposés looked really good. And who doesn't love some Jude Law? So
yeah, I'll watch anything with Jude Law in it.
So
right after the temple falls, after the younglings are killed, he's got like
So we're
Somehow
going back
there's a
in
few
time
left.
again.
Yeah, so
But we,
yes.
the show takes
not as
place.
far back though, like
Yeah.
a little bit before the other movies, but not quite all the way back. So like you're getting 3 times.
We're still
You're
going
getting-
back to decently young Anakin.
Well, no. So here's the
No,
deal:
he'd be-
the
he'd
show
be
actually
adult
takes
Anakin.
place in the post Return of the Jedi reconstruction that follows the fall of the Empire. It's parallel with like the Mandalorian, is where it'll land on the timeline.
I'm gonna need to get just a map, just a big timeline map.
I'll post a
Any-
timeline on
Dude,
our
yes,
stuff.
Yeah,
Any of you guys watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
It's gonna
I
be
do not.
me in that board. I'm like, hey, the red string.
Well, okay, so this one's not coming out soon. It is on the announced list, and will make Clark happy at least. But there is slotted to be a Mandalorian and Grogu movie on May 22nd of 2026.
Still led by Jon Favreau.
Indeed. Very excited
Are we
for that
getting
one.
a second book of Boba Fett where he's going to
I hope not.
act more like Boba Fett and less like a concerned dad?
No,
So am
Uh-oh.
I the only one that liked Book of Boba Fett? I thought it was cool.
literally
Like-
probably the only person.
I thought
that-
it was.
Good
I thought
to
it was
know.
fine. Like I thought it was okay, but I really wanted to see Boba Fett act like the badass Mandalorian
Boba Fett?
fighter that he is,
Yeah,
and
like-
less like a concerned dad. Like I don't mind the extra character development. I don't mind the journey, like spiritual journey he had with the sand people in the desert. I really just wanted him to use that disintegration rifle.
a lot more.
Yeah, like the bad mofo that he was.
I think
Fair
my
enough.
problem with it is we went from The Mandalorian, which had amazing production value, and then they showed me the little scooter bike race where the girl was going so fast through the streets and her hair wasn't even blowing in the wind, and I was like, what is this, D-Team? Like, the production value to me was just, they missed a lot of what needed to be. They had a lot of cool shots, but like a lot of the action shots weren't there. I can't remember the lady sniper's name, but I love her immensely. And I hope to look like that when I am her age.
There you go.
'Cause
Don't we
she's got
all?
one.
Don't we
Well,
all?
Boba Fett. The
Bones-
problem was it made no sense though to like turn
It
out
just
the way
became
he did.
Mandalorian 1.5.
Well,
2.5.
that is the
Oh,
downside.
that's true. It was the second season.
I will give you that one where it ended up being kind of a continuation of the Mando's story instead of being about Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I personally thought Boba Fett was awesome. I loved the idea of a war-weary kind of criminal trying to create a better place after going on a spiritual journey. And as everybody knows, I like sand people. I thought it was cool. And so
How
They
did you
actually
feel
have
about
some-
Dune?
They have some
Fair enough.
standalone books that are actually really good.
Well, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was a neat take on it, on trying to be like a good guy criminal. It obviously had some problems. I'm not going to argue that point. The Vespa gang in particular was a little weird.
Yeah, it was a little
Um,
weird.
But yes,
Everything's
I liked
tan
it.
except for their little vest.
The unfortunate
I-
truth is that it did not get well received, and so it's unlikely that we'll see more of that one.
Yeah, like I said, my only thing on it was like when he was just like the war weary guy. I get that's a trope that they've done a lot, but it's like more and more people just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and I'm like, okay, this next episode's when he's finally gonna snap. Just be like, you wanted the monster, here's the monster, kind of thing. And then that just never really came about, and I was like, this is a little sad because like you read the comics, the like air of mystery and like sense of badassery you got from the original trilogy in regards to Boba Fett, of him being this like hardcore badass bounty hunter. They set him up as this hardened criminal and assassin and bounty hunter in the I guess various animated shows. 'Cause I
Everything.
think-
He's
yeah,
a badass
yeah.
in everything.
and then
He takes down
just
Jedi.
won't act at all independently in that whole season. I'm like, come on, man. Like, oh, I know you've got it in you. Just strap the rocket pack on and go to town on these dudes. Like, we know you've got it in you.
Right.
And he actually was pretty badass when he was in the one Mandalorian episode.
True.
And then after that, we went to Fluffy Hugs, and I was like, "This isn't cool."
See,
He
and I
didn't
don't
even do any counseling. Like, he didn't even do any counseling, no one-on-one time whatsoever. But somehow he magically gets over his
He
war
spent time in that
PTSD
little pod thingy.
in the desert. Like, the desert of all places to get over your war PTSD, where he probably got most of it. Like, come on, not happening.
He
It's
spent how
facing
many
your
years
trauma.
inside the.
like, no,
That's fair
I'm glad
point.
they finally showed how he escaped from the Sarlacc. Like, I was glad to see that.
That
like,
was
in a
cool.
physical representation.
Yeah, that was
pretty
cool.
dope.
But
So I
like,
know
if you
we're
just look
ragging
at
on
it,
but it
like,
did have its moments.
they killed so many great characters and didn't even bring some of them about in the movies.
Ming
It's
Na
just-
Wen is the name of that actress, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes,
Thank you.
so many good
for
movies.
Fennec Shaw's
Don't thank me.
actress.
Thank James. Thank Bones. He's there in the YouTube comments.
Thanks,
us out.
YouTube comments, Bones.
So, everyone that's read the books, who's the one like a character that you think they could still bring back? They could still bring in.
Oh, Mara Jade.
You think they could still do her even though Luke's dead?
Yeah, they might have to tweak some of the like story stuff to fit into the new template. But if you're gonna bring, here's the hard part. If you're gonna be bringing in legends, right? But they're wanting to keep the primary cast set aside because that was the whole point, right? Is they were stepping away from Luke and Han and Chewie and Leia and everybody. They're stepping away from the main arc. And so when you start looking at characters from Legends that didn't fall under that, but they could still come back, if you bring in Mara Jade, it's going to piss off every fan of Legends of all time. But you can't bring her back in as the love interest of Luke. You just bring her back in as the Emperor's hand and have this badass female lead doing badass stuff. And they won't do it, but they could.
I'd probably, without the interaction with Luke, because that was like a huge part of her whole character dynamic.
Yeah.
Was her interactions with Luke Skywalker. So I think bringing in Mara Jade's definitely be a very tall task.
I think they could. I think they could make it good. And I do wish that she would be considered with more depth than just, oh yeah, she was Luke Skywalker's wife, because she was such a badass character on her own.
Oh, 100%. But again, her whole redemption arc centered around her introduction centered around trying to assassinate Luke, and her whole redemption arc centered around her bringing Luke down briefly and then him lifting her back into the light.
Even in the video game, she was still like, I don't know. It'd be difficult.
It's a tall task. Like, it's definitely a tall
absolutely.
task.
And she's another Jedi. I think it'd be hard to bring like more Jedi-ish characters from Legends in, unless you bring some of the later ones.
Always.
What's up?
I've always wanted a Wedge Antilles series.
Wedge would be cool.
My favorite non-Jedi character in Star Wars, outside of like the big main players, Han Solo, Leia, all of them, as far as a secondary character goes, Wedge Antilles is a total badass.
What the fighter pilot?
Yeah, he was one of the X-Wing pilots. Well, read about
I'm so bad with so many names.
He's also the only dude that shot down Darth Vader not once but twice.
Yeah, Wedge Antilles in the books was a force to be reckoned with. He doesn't get a lot of screen time in the movies, but he should have.
He's still a force to be reckoned with in the new stuff. Like, if you read the new books, Aftermath, I think, or something like that. Like, he's still like a pretty badass individual. Not like he originally was, but I want to see Gavin Darklighter brought in. Biggs' kid. He was amazing in the Rogue Squadron books. Like, I would like to see something like that. Like, you could bring a great dynamic into it. Bring some, like, keeping with the storyline. Yeah, I mean, but you keep with the storyline. You're not bringing in anything too crazy, and you can kind of grab some more fans of Legends, and some of that storyline that didn't exist prior to, or whatever they tried to sell me on. But he's the character I think you could bring in with no issues.
See, I think that could be cool. And I mean, when it comes to
Bones wants Revan and or Voss.
Oh yeah, like you're talking about Revan. Revan is going to be the goldmine if they handle it correctly when it comes to bring out of Legends.
Do not cast Keanu Reeves as Revan, please.
No, we lost you for a second.
There was a bunch of people that wanted Keanu Reeves to play Darth Revan. I'm like, please no. I think
Keanu
Keanu
he could
Reeves
do just fine, but he's old.
I was gonna say maybe like
and don't get me wrong, Keanu's great, and I love everything he's ever been in. I think he can do action roles really well, which if you're going to do Revan, you need to be able to have somebody that can do action roles really, really well.
Henry Cavill. No, he's busy. He's making a
he's got other stuff
Warhammer
going on.
40K show I want to watch real bad.
No, they have to handle Revan really, really carefully. And because you're talking about fan favorite characters that you have to handle with delicacy. And let's face it, the environment right now with Star Wars, fans do not let you make Star Wars content, but demand that you make it anyway. And so you start looking at things like Ahsoka. We have season 2 of Ahsoka coming out at some point. It's in development right now. I thought Ahsoka season 1 was great. I enjoyed the story, and everyone tore it a new one. And everybody wanted Ahsoka, and then no one was happy. And
I haven't watched any of the Ahsoka.
Liked it.
I think I watched the first episode.
I liked it,
and I thought the first episode was fine. But I had a lot of Star Wars fatigue.
Yeah, see, I've never hit a Star Wars fatigue. You're talking about characters that we've really enjoyed.
It's the same thing with superheroes for me right now. Like superhero movies, I've hit such a wall on superhero movies.
Wow.
Yeah, the fatigue is real.
They got to do different stuff with it, so I'll agree with you on that. Like, one thing I like with the movies compared to the games, they haven't drowned us in Jedi stuff. So like now they're about to with the Acolyte and Rey's new movies, and they're going back to like the New Dawn or something it's going to be called, where like being a Jedi first started. So now they're going to kind of drown us in Jedi stuff, but it's different because they haven't been doing that. So that's kind of exciting and should help with your fatigue with Star Wars stuff, because you're going to get a little bit more of the Jedi.
Getting more
yes.
Yeah,
but
the
I
new
think
Jedi Order.
Palpatine.
So if they do it right, it will be it works, because at least she's going to do what they didn't do with Luke. So her whole basis is she starts a school and like does stuff. So
she read a book and taught herself.
I mean, it's effectively what Luke did.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He ran around in the swamp.
Yeah, except for training with both Ben Kenobi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Master Yoda.
He trained with Obi-Wan for like
out of the
3 days.
Mud.
I mean, I'll give you
Janissary
Yoda
movies would be
a little
dope
bit
too,
because the amount of time that we have on Dagobah is a little ambiguous, but it wasn't a lot. And I agree. Like he spent all of 2 days with Ben Kenobi before he got turned into laundry.
But he was the chosen one.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but she's also the daughter of Palpatine in a roundabout. Or granddaughter? I don't remember.
Granddaughter.
Matter. Sorry, I have some peeves on that front because we start getting into metachlorians and genetic force sensitivity and
magical bacteria.
Yeah.
Certain people were just like, if you look at like Anakin as like a small child, his reaction times and everything, like he was really good at a lot of stuff.
Good and bad bacteria.
I mean, probably.
Yeah, but it took him.
Metachlorians allow you access to the Force. If there's a light side and a dark side of the Force, that means there has to be good bacteria and bad bacteria.
And that means we can just take an army of clones and shoot them up with some Force juice.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
Inject the bacteria.
It took
right
Anakin. It took Anakin becoming Darth Vader to try and pull down it 4 weeks.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and I have some pretty strong opinions
Power creep is real.
On the sequel trilogy and the power creep. I don't want to have this episode devolve into what our third or fourth one, talking about opinions on why it was bad, good, or what could be done to improve it.
I miss Kylo Chest.
He'll be back.
Anyway,
I really did like.
I am hoping he somehow returns.
Yeah, I would love for him to come back.
The actor himself said he would never play the role again, though.
I loved Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. I thought it was amazing.
Me too.
I will admit that
I appreciated it.
I have only checked out Adam Driver's other work since then because of Kylo Ren, and so I have to agree.
Bones says there's a shonen anime of Star Wars. Or it has become a power creep shonen anime. I get the joke now, Bones. Sorry, a little slow.
There we go. So speaking of characters,
isekai Star Wars anime.
Characters.
That's how they bring Luke back. Okay,
right.
You hit him with a car.
you hit him with the jingle truck carrying vending machines.
Well, Vendicoon is now a spaceship. So,
but speaking of characters that are getting Star Wars movies that are not just drowning in Jedi, Lando Calrissian with Donald Glover's Lando Calrissian.
I
Is
do
that,
like
fin-
that.
ever
I like
is that
Donald
finally
Glover.
being made? I thought that
No
was still
dates.
potentially.
It's supposedly being made, but the status is still officially on the unknown list. Has been since 2018. I'm holding out hopes because I like Lando. I think he's a cool character. I
Yeah.
want to see more of our swaggering, gambling space cowboy. So
He was also dope in the books too. Like, he had some really awesome moments.
Lando
in
was pretty
the
cool.
Legends books.
I don't think they're gonna do it because what's his name's like Glover's is supposed to be writing it. I think on top of being in it.
really,
I think
did
that's
not know
part
that.
of the hitch.
He did
So-
such a fantastic portrayal in the Han Solo movie.
And he, if I'm not mistaken, he did like a TV show and everything. He's not like a bad writer or anything, but
actually
I think
pretty
it's just
he
gonna
was
take
a
a while.
part of Community.
No, he was a
Am
part of
I-
Community, but I mean, I think he
Yeah.
wrote like, did he write Atlanta or something like that? It was called.
I think he also did some writing in Community.
I think they
He's
all
a
did at one
fantastic
point.
stand-up comedian.
And his music's pretty good.
But yeah, I guess that's where I'm saying a little bit different because
He did
I've
Mr.
been
and
just
Mrs. Smith.
devouring. That's what it was. Yeah.
It's
I've
all
been
right.
just
That
devouring a
show's
lot of this like side character stuff that have been cropping up in Star Wars. Things like the Bad
Yeah.
Batch, I absolutely love. Devoured the Bad Batch. Loved Mando. Loved Book of Boba Fett. I kind of would like to see some characters that came from those series get some more attention, like Fennec Shand, for example. I think she could have a really cool series. And kind of chase down some of her exploits. But again, I have a soft spot for rim-dwelling bounty hunter kind of scum. So.
I
That
just
does-
want something to
that does
show
fall
me
into
what
your
happened
wheelhouse.
to all these fucking characters.
Which
All
was
these
just kind of
Jedi
one
that
giant
lived.
wrap-up movie.
yeah.
There isn't any
there's a
Jedi that live. They
surprising-
clarified that in
There
The
is.
Last Jedi. There's only one left.
There's so many that are alive, and it's like,
No,
what?
there's the
Where
only
are
one,
they?
and it's the
Why are
last
they
one.
alive?
I did
Like,
kind of
it's
like
very
the.
upsetting.
I mean, they touched on that with the Inquisitors in the Kenobi series, which also I really enjoyed. Surprisingly, I was kind
Yeah.
of against it. I was like, I already know Ben Kenobi's story, and then I still kind of I dug that whole series. But they touched on the Inquisitors like hunting down the ones that made it out of Order 66, so that at least wraps up some of like why the ones that did manage to survive the betrayal of the clones really weren't around, or the ones that went in hiding, or the ones that cut themselves off from the Force entirely, like just didn't touch it, didn't use it, didn't utilize it.
I need something definite. Like, what's his name from the Star Wars games? I can't think of his name right now for some reason. Was it
Cal
Cave?
Kestis.
Yeah. Where is he? Like, those are the things I need answered. And like, that's the
Separate
best time
universe.
to do those. When they do those little like 15-minute episodes, like you see different things Star Wars does, like visions and stuff. That would be great. Just one season explaining like where all of them were, like while Luke was out kicking ass. That's all I want. Like Cal Kestis, this is his 15 minutes of fame, and you like see him like after the game, and like
Separate
and you
universe.
see that he
Just
died
retired,
somewhere.
sitting
No, he dies.
in a
He's got to
big
be dead.
gauntlet.
His type of character would have came out and fought. He's got to be dead. How did he die? That's what I
don't
need.
know.
Closure.
I kind of want like I feel like somebody has done this in a comic, but like a Star Wars what if, like what they did for Marvel.
If we're talking about bringing the video game characters onto the screen, I want Iden Versio from Squadrons. I think that would be dope. I do agree that a Star Wars What If series would be super cool. I could get
Just
behind
like,
that.
what if Luke went?
Bones
Right.
requested
I
a
would
Riv,
like to know.
a Riv Shield show, and I had to look up.
Yeah,
Who
no,
that
Riv
was.
Shield, that one I don't know.
It's got to be comic books.
They
Bones
look
is
like
bad
a
with
were-
names.
They straight up look like a werewolf.
Got to be comic books.
It's got to be comic. He is our comic
There were
expert that we
just-
call on. So
Tavanen? Ooh, that's a. Yeah, I'm not going to try and say that one again.
My favorite what if would be if Obi-Wan killed him in the volcano planet. What happens then? Yeah,
What if
like-
Obi-Wan left
What
the
if
Jedi
Force
Order?
healing?
What if
Anakin
Obi-Wan
knew?
Yeah. What if Obi-Wan leaves the Force or leaves the Jedi Order in order to be with Satele Shan on Mando?
That's after he like would have killed.
What
No,
if
this is well before anything
what if
happens with
Anakin
Anakin
had
in the
just
volcano.
straight up admitted that he wanted the best of medical care for his children with Senator Amidala to Mace Windu before they went into that fight against Palpatine. Like,
what if? Also, who's Rey's mom?
She's a clone.
Well, I'm sorry.
Palpatine's
Who's Rey's
daughter.
grandmother? Who?
She's a clone.
Love interest.
She hasn't real parents. She has an incubator mother.
actually, Bones brought up a really cool what if, and it's what if Darth Maul had succeeded in overthrowing both Count Dooku and the Emperor and became the Emperor.
Oh, that would be wild.
That'd be definitely a different galaxy.
He wasn't a horrible character though. Like even when he died, like finally
I always
actually
liked
died,
his
it was pretty
character.
cool.
See, I love Darth Maul. I think he's pretty cool. Not only does he have one of the coolest visuals, but he changed the way that we perceive lightsaber duels and how they work. And even though they kind of slotted him to be this Sisyphus style character of like always struggling, never succeeding, I still think he's one of the coolest characters that we got.
I love that Darth Maul introduced us to the Zabrak race and then the crazy witch ladies.
Dathomir witches
from Dathomir.
Yeah,
I had like completely forgotten about. Oh, that's what you guys have been up to.
The Dathomiri are freaking dope.
Yeah, they're awesome. I could deal with an entire series from the perspective of Dathomir during the Rise of the Empire because they fought hard, did some really sketchy shit, and then got screwed by the Empire. And so I'd like to see some more of that.
Like, who did not? Like, they literally bribed what was left of the Mandalorian people into not getting involved and then immediately turned around and then committed a series of war crimes to the top of the planet. Like,
right. Well, talking about the video games earlier, I know everybody is up about Cal Kestis, and I mean, he's a fine character, whatever. He's kind of a clone of every other Jedi main protagonist. But his supporting cast was awesome. And I, in particular, really liked the Dathomir chick that joins him for a while. I cannot remember her name.
She's in both games.
Yeah, she's like a main character in the second one.
Yeah. So I haven't played the second one at all, but she's probably my favorite character from the first game, and I could have some more.
Agreed. I liked and then Eric started taking pills.
Yeah, Eric's popping pills on stream here.
I'm trying to like read the label.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? We talking vitamins or we talking stimulants?
I gotta take my meds because the VA told me to. See, look, VA, taking my meds.
There's proof.
I'm a good boy. Had to put it on camera so we could prove it.
Yeah.
The the guy from Force Unleashed. I forget that character's name. I don't ever want a TV show with him. Standalone games, I was fine with. That dude is so brokenly OP.
Oh yeah, like you're talking. That was the whole point of Force Unleashed. You want to talk about what ifs? Is
what if
the Force didn't have limits?
Jedi, but also a dick.
Yeah.
Like,
that game actually, Force Unleashed had some
Star
of the
Killer.
Best,
that was his name. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bones.
Star Killer. But that had some of the best dialogue and the best lines. I loved.
The games
parts
were
of that
great.
game.
The games were great, but yeah, the whole story boils down to what if Goku became a Jedi and was also an asshole.
Goku's the best villain ever.
He's not a villain. He's an idiot, and it's different.
Is it not evil just because he's too stupid enough to realize it?
Stupidity is not evil. It's a character flaw.
Yes.
I don't know.
All right, guys, we are running a little bit long here. Let's discuss our opinions on Star Wars Day binge watch order. As everybody knows, it is common practice on Star Wars Day for those with time and access, of course, to binge watch Star Wars movies. Used to, it was watch the trilogy back to back. Then it was watch all 6 back to back. And then it became 9, and then it became 14, and then there were TV shows involved. So obviously you can't do everything in one 24-hour period anymore. So, what do you watch, and in what order do you watch it? Ooh, Travis excited.
Yes. And I watch it in an order that makes no sense.
You're not even going machete method, you're just going chaos?
No, I go in order of least favorite to most favorite. It's the same way when I sit down to binge watch the Indiana Jones movies. I don't watch them in order of release. I watch them in order of preference. And I start with the one I like the least, because I'm still most excited for it, so I can power through it. Right? Same method for Star Wars movies. So I'm gonna do numbers because I don't remember all of the titles. So, episode 8, 9,
So
2.
Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, 8, 9,
2 is Attack of the Clones.
7, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Interesting. Okay.
So 6 is your favorite.
Hands down, my favorite.
Return of the Jedi, man. It's pretty solid.
By far, my favorite.
Yeah, it's either that one or Empire Strikes Back. They're probably the two best.
I think I like Empire. Oh, maybe not actually, because Return of the Jedi was great.
Bones just does random draw order. Everybody gets a number, gets in a hat,
Put it in
draws
a
them
jar.
one at a time. I dig it.
How do you watch Lord of the Rings?
In chronological order.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
thank
skip
you,
to the
at least.
fights.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
even
my
watch
God.
the story.
Ow, I hate you so much, Eric.
Fast forward to the fights.
I thought I was.
The first movie's really short because there's only like very few really good fight scenes.
Oh my
so,
gosh, no! If
like,
I'm gonna
the
sit
first
down
one
and watch,
is super short.
okay, this for
How do you watch
future
Harry
reference,
Potters?
if Eric goes missing, let's establish that we had nothing to do with it now.
We're in different countries
Yeah.
Yeah.
that are
Additionally,
within
I need
driving
to know.
distance.
I need to know people that have passports.
But
Unrelated.
if we're talking order of Star Wars, I'd probably just do the order that they came out in. We don't
Release
really
order.
honest.
I do.
So like 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
Interesting. So I obviously had to make some cuts somewhere, and so I always strive, like my goal is an 8-movie day, and so I go 1, 2, 3, Solo. Was it 4, 5, 6? No, Solo, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6. And then if I have extra time in the day and I am not burnt out, I'll watch the sequel trilogy.
I do
I
love me
did
some
debate
Rogue
this
One.
year-
Rogue One was a
Yeah,
good movie. Wasted
movie.
Donnie Yen, in my opinion. Donnie Yen would have been such a fantastic, like, high, like, Republic Jedi.
See, I think with Rogue One, the cast of characters they had was fantastic. I think Forrest Whitaker really is probably my favorite in that entire movie.
As Saw Gerrera.
As Saw Gerrera, yeah.
Yeah.
But you could never make a sequel to it.
Well, no, that's not the point.
But I just mean, like, even if you didn't kill them all, I don't think it'd be as good like multiple movies. I
It
think
also
the
had
biggest
Alan Tudyk
thing
playing the
was
droid,
that it
which
was one.
No.
Yeah.
You
Go
are being
Alan Tudyk.
rescued. Please do not resist.
yeah,
One of
that
my
was my
favorite
favorite
lines from any
Rescue.
Star Wars.
Please do not resist. Actually, I think my favorite line from any Star Wars movie is actually from the sequel trilogy, and that's when Rey asks that little droid, it's like, "Can I touch you?" And it backs up and goes, "No, no, thank you." And I was like, I have never related more to a robot in my entire life. Like, can I touch you? It's like, absolutely not.
No, thank
I
you.
mean, what kind of touching? So it's
But no, I do think that's probably when it comes to, because I mean, Star Wars has some great quotable one-liners, right? Like to the point where people who
It's a
aren't even
trap.
Star Wars fans recognize certain quotes. And so it's kind of hard for me to pick an absolute favorite, but I think "You Are Being Rescued, Please Don't Resist" would be easily top 5,
Yeah.
if not number 1.
Oh, I have to. I'm going to drop this one out because I just thought of it. Who introduced you to Star Wars?
Oh, interesting.
Who wants to go
I have
first?
no clue.
Mine's easy. My dad had me watch it. I was like 6 years old.
Clark, who introduced you to Star Wars?
Oh, my high school friend Ryan Story. I am more of a Trek. Well, I was more of a Trekkie. If they started making Legos of Star Trek stuff, I'd be all about it. But I was more of a Trekkie until probably college, or not college, high school. And then Ryan's like, "Well, if you like Star Trek, you're gonna like Star Wars." And I was like, "Oh, it's just Star Trek with war." Yeah. Friend.
Yeah,
But
dystopian,
still good.
Still
authoritarian future.
Space.
And technically, no planet Earth.
Mine was my
That's
mom.
true.
Nice.
My mom introduced me. Yeah. So the very first, and one of the reasons why it's my favorite, the very first Star Wars movie I remember watching, my mom actually got for me, and it was Return of the Jedi. So Episode 6.
That's
Which
fantastic.
was a good first one.
Well, I was having this conversation actually with a friend of mine just the other day, where I actually really like the prequel movies. I think they're great. I love them.
I liked them.
And when it comes to Star Wars Day or similar kind of binge runs, I have frequently just gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as kind of my block watch. And I think part of it is kind of a nostalgia factor. So if we get into like the anecdote section of the episode here, because I know we're running short on time.
Hasn't this whole episode been anecdotes?
Pretty much.
Spaghetti.
But, at least for me, I didn't get to watch Star Wars. I was pretty young when I finally got to watch it, but you're talking, we had the box collector set of VHS tapes that we had for Star Wars. And that's how I got to watch it. And, my dad introduced me to it, and I fell in love right away. And for me, when it comes to Star Wars, everybody has the certain things about Star Wars they really like, whether it's the cultures or the Jedi or the whatever. I like ships. And seeing all the different ships and the way that they made them was really a high point for me. And for a long time, being able to name the make and model of a ship in Star Wars was something I was very proud of. Super nerdy moment. But in 1999, when Episode 1 Phantom Menace came out, I actually got to go see that with my dad in theaters. And so I'm really glad I was the age I was at that point, because I got to experience something that I feel like is akin to people back getting to watch New Hope, or just Star Wars, I guess, in theaters with their parents for the first time. And so I love the prequel trilogy. I think it's fantastic, but I'm also nostalgic about it because I got to do it with my family, and it was an important kind of thing.
I remember the antidote from my mom where she was like, "Oh yeah, I remember when Star Wars came out. We went to a Tuesday matinee. Everyone thought the movie was going to be a flop and was garbage, and then it became like this huge big thing." So I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you just nonchalantly went to like a generational defying movie on a Tuesday."
Yeah, on a Tuesday.
Tickets were $1. Like whatever.
I honestly think
good for you.
I think my mom went and watched the first Star Wars movie specifically for the fact that I had Harrison Ford in it.
Oh, there you go.
Because she's a fairly big sci-fi fan, like all things considered. She's not nearly at the level
That's
we
true.
are.
Well,
but
she's a big
she
sci-fi
does.
fan.
Yeah, she likes sci-fi, fantasy, like big Tolkien fan. But yeah,
I mean, I think everybody
pretty sure
else
her
in
first
it was...
original motivation was just like, Harrison Ford's in it. Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, I got to check this out.
I think he was the only big name actor in it.
Yeah, I think
because I think the guy who played Luke was like something like that.
He was the only one available to start filming when the filming started.
Something like that. Like he was the third stand-in, or that could also be one of those things that I heard when in my childhood. That's not.
I'm so glad
now it's canon to me
that Star Wars launched Mark Hamill's career so he could turn into probably one of the best voice actors of all time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he's a much better voice actor than actor. No offense, Mark. You will always be my Luke. But yeah,
I think he's a good actor, and I think he's a fantastic voice actor. Like, yeah, I think he's.
I didn't really like him.
He's got a really good give him that. Like,
I will tell you what, Mark Hamill, when it comes to acting, first off, I think he's a spectacular voice actor. And I know you said he'll always be your Luke. Dude is going to be the Joker's voice for me forever. But when you start putting him into roles that aren't as serious, where you can have some fun with it and get goofy, that's where Mark Hamill shines. I mean, it's actually a pretty decent example.
He's in that.
Nutcracker.
Yeah, is that the guy's name? Yeah, he's the villain with the gigantic fist.
Yeah,
he hits in the nuts.
Yeah,
and so yeah, I think he's a great actor, particularly in comedy roles. But yeah, no, it's one of those things where everybody has Star Wars moments that they hold on to, right? And a lot of them have gotten turned into memes or have appeared in television shows. Because you start looking at like that 70s show showed it off great, right? Where some of these people go in to watch Star Wars for the first time, and they're thinking exactly like Clark said, where it's like it's going to be some goofy sci-fi flop. Like, I'm not worried about it. And then it starts off where there's a big explosion, or the lasers go off, or the scroll goes off, and everybody's just in their seats, like, whoa. And there's a giant meme about in Phantom Menace when we get into fight Darth Maul during Duel of the Fates, which is still probably the best score in any Star Wars movie ever. And he opens up the second side of his lightsaber, and at least when I watched it, the whole theater lost their mind. Like, it was crazy. And I love the memes where you get is it Joe Rogan and some of the announcer guys that like
Oh,
lose
from
their
UFC.
minds. Yeah, when he opens up the second half of his lightsaber. And I think it's cool. And everybody's got Star Wars moments they hold on to, at least if you're in the fandom, right? And there's a whole bunch of dissection that we could do on theory on like what's good and what's not, and what I would change, and my opinion on it, or what was good for the franchise.
Give me more Wedge Antilles.
Yeah, I would not turn down
suggestion.
Wedge Antilles. Truth be told, so you bring that up. I was going to mention earlier that some of the stuff I've been devouring has been the clone stuff, right? Bad Batch, Clone Wars stuff, where it's like the Jedi are cool. I wanted to see the soldiers. I wanted to see what it was like for the clones, for the stormtroopers, that kind of stuff. Getting some content for the Resistance pilots, like Wedge Antilles, would be amazing, in my opinion. All joking set aside, fully serious, no sarcasm. Give me some Rebel era Resistance movies.
Yeah, how they converted
more Andor stuff,
how they converted stunt ships into warfighting plane or warfighting ships.
Yeah, Z-95 headhunters,
precursor to the X-wings.
And so
what's better, land-based games or flying games for Star Wars series?
Land.
Why not?
I want to play with a lightsaber.
Why not both? Squadrons had both.
No, you gotta pick. It's the joy of picking.
Yeah, even
so.
Even
as far as storytelling goes, yeah, you have to go land because that's where the storytelling's at.
Yeah.
Rogue Squadron was so great.
So
I want to play with a lightsaber.
If you actually could get like the joystick too and everything, like with your, it's so fun.
Well, and so I started thinking about the books that I've read that take place predominantly in ships or in fighters and that kind of stuff. And even the good ones from that, a large part of the development comes from like boarding space stations and moving units through. Big shout out to Death Troopers. If you ever read that book, by the way, fantastic. And so,
put that one on.
I have to go land, but I wish there was more ship stuff.
I mean, I don't mind a good like ship fighting game. I really don't. They're fun, 3D movement in and orientation and stuff like that in games is super fun for flying. Because it doesn't matter if I'm upside down, left, right, whatever. It's all relative in space. Because it's one of the things that I really like about flying in Elite Dangerous is like it doesn't matter. Like you're not ever upside down.
That makes sense. So I'm gonna throw.
I like them, but for like a storytelling and like narrative purpose, it's got to be like land character based story.
Okay, I got something here. Now there is a indie game that came out recently called Pacific Drive. Have any of y'all checked it out?
Did he just become a robot for anybody else?
Yeah.
He's very choppy.
Lovely. Okay, hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. That internet's great. Any case, there is an indie game that came out recently that I'm both going to give a shout out to and kind of using an example. So it's called Pacific Drive. Have any of y'all checked it out, looked at anything about it? I'm going to see if my computer will get to work. I realize that my internet is not the best right now. So anyway, Pacific Drive is out for PS5 and Steam and that kind of stuff. And it was developed by Ironwood Studios. Now, the point of this particular game is that you have a car and you are taking your car through this kind of like eldritch wasteland kind of thing. And you're constantly upgrading, modifying, and changing your car in order to meet certain needs to get through certain terrains as you're trying to unravel a mystery. It is in the same vein as like Subnautica or Alone in the Dark or any of those games, right? So, if you take that premise and apply it to Star Wars, where you have a Rey-style scrapper character who puts together a junker ship out of mixed parts, makes it ugly, right, from some battlefield graveyard, and is trying to solve some kind of mystery as you travel across territories and from planet to planet, modifying and changing your spaceship in order to overcome certain obstacles or Imperial entanglements or whatever. I think that could be a great narrative game.
Yeah.
Me making my gun.
That was so much fun.
I hated that mechanic in Kingdom Hearts. I hated it so much.
Loved
I
it.
hated the gummy ship stuff.
I had such a moronic gummy ship. Side note, apparently...
Anybody else? Anybody else, whenever someone says gummy, you think of the Gummy Bear song that small children listen to?
Gummy.
Gummy bears. Oh, we went to two different versions.
No,
there.
I was thinking of that weird one on the YouTube. I am a gummy bear, just a gummy bear.
All right, well,
That
you can
one?
tell
No?
we've officially passed the
saying.
hour mark on the episode here. So, last thing I want
Eric's
to
meds
cover.
aren't working.
Obviously, we
I
talked
mean,
about watch
you know.
order and that kind of stuff. I have debated on doing a Star Wars Day watch where instead of watching the movies, which seems like sacrilege, I check out the TV shows, doing like the Obi-Wan TV show, the Ahsoka TV show, that kind of thing. But I would like to hear from anybody, any of our viewers, whether you're catching us after the fact or watching us live. Hit us up on Facebook, YouTube comment section, any of that good stuff. What's your watch order and why? Maybe you can sway us. Maybe we'll try something new this year. As a
I
reminder,
will not. Good try, though.
Now, lastly, I did want to talk about some cool Star Wars activities for people that are trying to figure out a good way to do Star Wars Day if you wanted to make it a big deal. Now, this is particularly geared towards parents because I've had some success in that particular area. But one of the things that my kids have taken to almost a tradition now, we do it every year, is I save up the cardboard boxes that I get my dog food delivered in and just kind of stockpile them in the garage. And then on Star Wars Day, we sit there and we craft them like, 2 years ago, we did the very classic a TIE fighter and an X-Wing. And I just built it out of cardboard and duct tape. And then you just, turn it into kind of a blanket fort style deal, set up where it's comfortable for them to sit in, get some popcorn, we watch the movies.
A life-size one. I was like, why do you need so many boxes to make a model-sized TIE fighter?
No, not like a one-to-one, mind you, but like a cardboard version for them to watch the movies in, because it gives them a cool little space, and they get to decorate their control console and that kind of stuff. And we have a lot of fun with it. I think it's really cool. My wife always pulls out a whole bunch of like crafty stuff, coloring pages and word searches, mazes, that kind of stuff. And I know we always have, it's either a cake or a watermelon. We've changed it up year to year, where we get a Death Star, right? Carve a watermelon as a Death Star, or you make a cake as a Death Star. And I've had a lot of fun.
Star Wars Day activity for everyone is to come watch us do trivia.
Indeed. Yeah, big reminder. We're going to be meeting right here on Star Wars Day for some live Star Wars trivia. Very, very excited about that.
I'm ready to school everybody. Just kidding. I'll be hosting the trivia.
Y'all are about to
be asking the questions.
I'm going to win, so it's okay.
Oh, dude, you are so going to get rolled.
Clark's just going to tag in the fucking champion.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
She's
the
got
books?
the hot tag to the dude that just lives in Star Wars lore.
Like, that is his autism focus. So I'm just like, why am I going to bother? I can't remember anybody's name, and he can tell me, like, the birth. Sounds nice.
He's hit the
what color's their lightsaber?
He's hit the token level of like knowing the backstory to every tree branch.
Okay, I can't tell you authors. Like no fucking author questions. Jesus.
His ADHD hyper focus into Star Wars is the same way I delve into the weird labyrinth that is 40K lore.
Oh yeah, where everyone's an unreliable narrator and is lying to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite thing about 40K is it's all canon because none of it's canon.
Yeah.
I do want to actually read some of that stuff because it looks like a really good world.
It's depressing.
It's great. It's a little depressing. But
she is not. She's not wrong.
Sometimes, so.
She's not wrong. It is kind of depressing.
Also, don't expect there to be any good guys because there is not a single good guy in 40K.
Well, first off, that's all a weird thing. Like
it's a matter
some
of perspective.
People, yeah, like I agree with some villains now in comics and TV shows and things. Like there's just certain ones you like.
There's not a group.
I mean, I'm not saying I'd agree with any of them. I'm just saying.
Organization in 40K that can be labeled as good.
Before we get too far down the 40K trail, because we can live on that one for a while, we do need to kind of bring this episode to a close. So thank you, everybody who is tuning in. We want to hear y'all's Star Wars stuff. Hit us up in the YouTube comments. Hit us up on our Facebook page. We have a link tree. You can meet us anywhere on there. We really appreciate you hitting all those, fun like buttons, share buttons, that kind of stuff, because That's why we do this. And so, yes, let us know about your Star Wars opinions. And, of course, join us on Saturday for the live Star Wars trivia competition to celebrate Star Wars Day. Very, very excited about that.
Yeah. Star Wars.
Don't forget to start your day off with a glass of milk.
Blue milk.
I feel like
What?
food coloring is definitely the more cost-efficient option.
Why?
But
Is
with
blue
that-
milk like weird?
We're going to bring this episode to a close before we get Eric on a weird food tangent.
Pikachu.
I knew that was coming.
We were
I
so
knew that was coming.
close.
We were almost there. We had like one
I
episode.
wasn't gonna
where
do
you
2
haven't brought up
episodes in a
Pikachu.
row, dude.
Oh gosh.
But
with that, we're bringing this episode to a close. Join us next week for more Star Wars contests. Of course, check us out live when we do trivia on Star Wars Day, and we will catch you next time.
See you guys.